Hey, here you go, folks. Yep, that's right. This is your man, Adolphus A.D. Moore. I'm back, and I'm coming from Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina, where your Houston Texans dropped a tough loss today to a winless Carolina Panthers team that 15-13 with a field goal that started off about 40 some yards away and wind up at about a chip shot. Basically became a chip shot because with the penalties and everything else that and the histrionics that went into trying to the Texans trying to close out the Panthers. The Panthers Texans today, as I stated, lost to a winless Carolina Panther team today, 15-13. But before we dig off into all of that and everything, let's go ahead and hear from our sponsor, and then we'll get back and dig into it the right way.
Hello, I'm Ken Ross with the Ken Ross Insurance Agency. There are certain things that are important in our lives: our health, our safety, and our loved ones. With over 40 years of experience, I've seen just how important insurance can be. I value the importance of being a part of my community and being there when they need me. Insurance is important everywhere, but being here in South Texas, it is absolutely essential. From flood, home, auto, and life insurance, let the Ken Ross Agency be your agency of choice.
That's right, folks. The Ken Ross Agency, 281-235-5952 for all your insurance needs. Be sure and when you call him, tell him AD told him to give you a call and give him the Ken, and you want the Ken Ross treatment. The treatment that I've been getting for the last umpteen many years because he's been my agent of choice for all these many years. So look out and tell him 281-235-5952. All right, let's go back and let's start picking this carcass apart, ladies and gentlemen. Um, the Carolina Panthers hit a 23-yard field goal with 3 seconds left in the contest. That really started off with about at a plausible chance they could have missed it since they had already missed a PAT after a touchdown. But they started off with a 40-plus yard field goal. But with the penalties and everything else that happened, as far as the Houston Texans was concerned today, uh, it wound up a chip shot. In fact, it was close. It was almost like a PAT by the time they finished it because the Texans, a couple of offside penalty, unabated rusher to the kicker, ran into the holder. That was a 15-yard penalty. Then the second time, the same person committed the foul again. So that was unsportsmanlike conduct. He was ejected from the game, but not in malice intent. I think that was the Texans' way of trying to slow the inevitable down, as far as I was concerned, because unless North became South and South became North and East became West and vice versa. Well, there's probably no way that the Panero was going to miss this shot and then get the Panthers, as I stated, their first victory of the whole season. And it matched, and the interest for us is in this contest, it matched the number one and the number two draft picks in the prior year draft. Uh, C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. C.J. Stroud out of the Ohio State and Bryce Young out of Alabama. And like I say, 2-1-1-2, depending on, but that was the way they came down in the draft order. In fact, this was a historical event in the standpoint that this was the first time in the NFL that you've had the number one, number two, and the number three draft pick all on the same field at the same time in the same contest. So uh, it proved to be historical in that sense. It probably, from my standpoint, I thought that after the Texans bye week, the victory the week before last, I thought they was getting would put themselves on a road to maybe, start stacking up some victories. But this is the NFL from week to week. You don't know what you're going to get with these folks. So and this is why I say it is imperative that you have to be prepared mentally to handle the load and meet meet the challenges. Right now, I got a couple from a defensive staff. One of the key things in my standpoint, because the offensively, the Texans just they sputtered all doing it. The second half, the first half was really one of the better halves when you start comparing, comparatively speaking, from one half to the other. But it seemed like that was they were not in sync in the second half, and so it was quite obvious. And it was a question that I had posed to Coach D'Amico Ryans as to what really happened in that first half, going to the second half.
That's on your pass plays in the first half as opposed to going back in the second half. Was there some change in play calling that was something that they forced y'all to do?
Yeah, we'll take a look at the film and see, where we can be better in the second half.
And question was, obviously he hadn't, in hindsight, not being privy to the not being privy to the film. I just happened to ask them, did they do something different in the second half that caused a selection of the pass routes and everything was different. The Texans seemed to had a lot of from my standpoint, they were doing good pass routes on the hash marks, and they're just right outside the hash marks. Second half looked like everything was sort of trying to do routes that they were trying to run across and just run through the middle and just keep on down. So realistically, was it something that the Panthers done to change, made the Texans play? Yeah. Was it something that the Texans did to themselves by they just not being able to complete passes? Again, yeah. But like I said, without benefit of having the film, that was one of the things I'm pretty sure that they're going to be looking at, because I thought that the Texans, in my estimation, probably left. It was 7-6 at halftime. But the thing about it, I felt that the Texans probably had a couple of other scoring opportunities that they just let get away. And this is one thing that at a young team they're gonna have to learn. When opportunities are there, they're gonna have to be able to put their foot down and just go ahead and drive the point home. But the defense. They had 9 sacks prior, all the totals, and then today they had a total of 6 sacks. And Jonathan Grenard led all the Texans defensive stalwarts. He had a total of 2.5 sacks today. And let Jonathan explain it to you.
Better days, and you had 2+, and it's been a while since you had a 2+ day. What's your initial thoughts and what happened?
Yeah, we knew that we had a chance that we come in and dominate up front as far as stopping the run, and then after that, we knew we were able to get to the pass rush game where we pretty much had to prove ourselves, because in the weeks past we didn't live up to the expectation as far as getting to the quarterback and changing the game. But yeah, we didn't get the dub, so at the end of the day, it matters, but it don't matter. We had to do better.
Yep, bottom line, like I say, they have to do better, because they had an opportunity to close it out on the closing drive, and they didn't get the job done, folks. they just didn't get the job done. There's no two ways about it, and this is the one significant thing. If you want to be a championship ball club, and this is one of the things that they had mentioned about it, one of the things that they wanted to do in order to become a champion, you got to know how to close out. You got to know how to win. And the Panthers, and you could just see this coming, because the Panthers took control that last drive with about 3 minute plus, and they basically they went to the ground. They stuck to the ground, and they utilized the clock, and they were able to grind it out. And Malik Collins, who basically had two sacks himself today, I particularly asked him about that situation and not being able to close out this team.
Like I was having consistent pressure, all the way through, but then that final drive, they basically just was able to lock it down on you. What was the difference between first three quarters of the game and then all of a sudden that last drive?
I can only speak from a personal perspective, but it's like honing in on the smaller details. especially in like short yardage run and things like that. And they're able to keep drives alive on like a 32.
Yeah, he's right. And in fact they converted in that final drive that led to their first victory. They converted at least three of those 3-and-2, 3-and 2, about 2 or 3 of those 3-and-3, third down and 3, third down and 2, at least 3 of those on that final scoring, the clinching drive, and they didn't get it done. Folks, they did not get it done, uh, and I think it was disappointing in this fact. But again, it's a young team. We can keep going back to the cliches. This is the young team. We can keep going back to the cliches. They got to learn how to win. Got to learn how to close it out. Eventually, they will, but they have not gotten there yet. They have not, and they are. I mean, we forget that this is only their 7th game of the year. This is the start of the second third of the season. Just came off a bye week, and this is going to be this is a long haul now for the Texans. And this one of the significance about that fact they lost Patterson Jared Patterson today to an ankle injury. We're not sure what the depths of his injury. We don't know if he's done for the season or not. We'll find out. That we'll find out tomorrow. But I think when as far as from an offensive perspective, everything starts up front, and the continuity of being able to have a starting 5 and Jared Patterson has been from he wasn't expected to, because when he came into training camp, it was they were expecting the uh, Juice to be the starting center, but Juice got hurt in the center and got hurt in preseason, and so Juice hadn't had a chance to get on the field yet from being able to show his wares. So Jared Patterson has been able to be a consistent clog, and in fact, well, the wins and the losses, but he has been one of the consistent factors on that offensive line, along with Shaq Mason, and then let's say George Fant has been there, but they didn't get it done today, folks. I'm not going to try to tell you any otherwise. Should they have gotten it done? Should the W been on there? I thought that was a good chance, but you can just sort of see how it was sort of like a small drip, and the drip became a bigger drip. Then finally it was full flowing, and before you know it, they couldn't put their finger back in the dike. They could not put their finger back in the dike, and Carolina Panthers gets their first victory of the season. And so, you know, we talk about the maturity and the maturation. And I asked Jonathan Grenard about just exactly about the team's maturity and how they mature and what to expect.
This is a tough loss. I thought Atlanta was a tough loss.
100%.
Trying to get to that maturation period where this doesn't affect y'all going further down the line.
It's just a matter of understanding, like I said, situational ball. A lot of us, we got a lot of young guys at certain position. It's an understanding that, the small mistakes in the beginning part may not seem like much, but, it adds up. And honestly, once you give a team like that, like I said, they were 0-6, so they didn't have nothing to lose. At that point, they're playing with their backs against the wall at home as well, coming off the bye. So we've been there. We understand how that goes and understand what type of team that is. And you give any team like that any chance of hope, they can run with it. And at that same point, hats off to them. They had a hell of a game plan. Their defense, it turned into a battle of defenses, and they just got better of us at the end.
Yep, you're right. They again, Carolina Panthers did get the better of the Houston Texans today. Just some quick stats. The Texans, believe it or not, the Texans ground game today, the Texans defense basically kept 24. The Panthers had like 24 attempts today, total about 44 yards. They averaged 1.8 yards a carry, except when it came down to the crunch time. They were able to surpass that 1.8. In fact, they were able, they average reflected the Texans' average because they averaged like 3.7 yards a carry. In fact, the Texans' total overall running had 110 yards rushing today on 30 attempts. Pierce, Singletary, both of them, decent days, but when it came time when it came time to say win, when it came time to put the go ahead and as they say, it's time to cross the finish line, time to shut the door on somebody's faces. The Texans didn't get it done today. Will they get it done in the future? I believe they will. Will they eventually? These are building blocks, and these are blocks that are hard. They are bitter, and it leaves a bitter taste in your mouth, folks. But I think these are things that eventually they're going to learn. They're going to be able to figure out how to get this done, and I firmly believe that this team, this young team with Bryce Young, I firmly believe that that they will
Give a team like that, like I said, they were 0-6, so they didn't have nothing to lose. At that point, they're playing with their backs against.
Yep, as you had mentioned that earlier, operator error, folks. That happens. They just like the Texans, that was operator error on them. But yeah, they did not get it done today. And I think overall, it's hard to you can't overlook the fact that the Texans had 6 sacks today. I think that the pressure. They felt like they had good practices all this week. I don't think this was one of CJ's better ball games. I think what's happening now, teams now starting to get film on CJ, and I think between Bobby Slowick, I think they now going to start doing some things. Robert Woods didn't play today, but then there were other receivers, and it's time for everybody else to start standing up. It's time for that, and I think it's time for this offensive line to go ahead, and now we're going to have to add a new component to the offensive line. Will Juice Ruggs be able to come back in and pick up where he left off? Don't know. I'm not sure exactly what's going to be the next man up. You hear that a lot. You hear that a lot in football. Next man up. Well, if a next man up, everybody's next man up is not. It would be nice if you had all next man up, all 1A, 1A, 1A. Well, they all aren't 1A, 1A, 1A. It takes time. It takes a maturation period, a growing pain. The Texans are going through a growing pain on learning how to win, and it's going to need some patience. You as the paying customer, it's going to take some patience on you all's part to to stay in there. No, I'm not on the Texans payroll. They're not paying me, but there's promise in this team. There's hope in this team. So obviously they're going to come in tomorrow. They're going to have a film session, and next week. Next week, it's time for next week. I mean, this game is over with. There's nothing else we can do about it. So before we come back, we're going to hear from our sponsor again, and then we'll get back in a couple of other items, and I'll get ready to walk out of here and go get in my car and head over to the in-laws' place and figure out what we're going to eat tonight. But in the meantime, let's hear from our sponsor.
Hello, I'm Ken Ross with the Ken Ross Insurance Agency. There are certain things that are important in our lives: our health, our safety, and our loved ones. With over 40 years of experience, I've seen just how important insurance can be. I value the importance of being a part of my community and being there when they need me. Insurance is important everywhere, but being here in South Texas, it is absolutely essential. From flood, home, auto, and life insurance, let the Ken Ross Agency be your agency of choice.
That's right, folks. Ken Ross Agency, 281-235-5952. Give Ken Ross a call. And if you have to leave him a message, he's got one of the it's sort of a humor message, but he like you say, call me, give him a call, tell him, and when he finally picks up, tell him AD been telling you the folks to call him, and so now you're actually calling him, and he's picking up the line again. 281-235-5952. The Ken Ross Agency has been my agency of choice for a long time. Let him be your agency of choice as well. Again, Ken Ross, 281-235-5952. Um, Bright spot, Cameron Johnson today flipped the field because the Texans had got stuck in their own end zone, and Cameron Johnson really flipped the switch today. In fact, I'm looking at my notes. I want to go back. He turned the field on a 74-yard punt. In fact, he was in the end zone. The ball was snapped from, I think, around about the 5-yard line, and he really didn't want able to get his full extension on the ball on his leg. That was and I applaud. I mean, and wasn't a whole lot of wind conditions for him to be effective, but he was able to just some of the high points, the bright points, shall I say, when you have a taste of victory, and when you taste defeat, that bad taste of losing sort of stays in your mouth a lot longer than that sweet taste of victory, because you sort of forget about those, but that bad taste just hangs with you, sort of like taking Castrol or whatever. Anyway, some of y'all don't understand that, but some of you old heads out there understand what I'm talking about. And I'm pretty sure some of y'all like to probably need to line up and probably like the old folks used to do, line up everybody on Friday and give them a couple of big tablespoons of Castrol, just to keep them going, because we couldn't go to the doctor, so the old folks just even give them Castrol or 3 6s or something like that. But anyway, folks, as I get ready to wrap this thing up from Bank America Stadium today. It was a nice out. It was a beautiful day for football. I'm gonna tell you, because I understand that then there's a cool front coming through Houston when I get in tomorrow. So, folks will be able to go throw the hoodies on, throw the sweaters on, and everything else, and so be able to enjoy. Oh, by the way, uh, if you have not, early voting has started. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I would not be so arrogant as to tell you that. That's not my place to tell you who to vote for. But I would encourage you and strongly encourage you to exercise your right to vote. That is your constitutional right. And if you don't vote, the only thing I will tell you, you abrogate your right to somebody else, because those that go in and make the decision, they are making the decision for you. And if you don't go in there and cast your ballot, then somebody else is having a decision of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And you left there standing there looking all wild out and crazy when you had a chance when I had a chance to go vote. So I would strongly encourage you. The early voting still going on. Don't forget November 7th if you don't get it to early voting. And folks, I'm gonna be candid with you. As long as early voting here, and you don't really have to have a reason or excuse, you have no excuse not to vote. So I'm done. I'm off my soapbox. All I say is go exercise your right to vote. Some people gave up their lives that didn't have an opportunity because they couldn't count the jelly beans, or they had to pay poll tax, or whatever the case might be, or they literally lost their lives trying to want to go exercise their right to vote. So I would encourage you to somebody pay for that right, and I would say don't let their death be in vain. Go exercise your right to vote. All right, getting ready to wrap it up. I'm getting ready to shut it down. Again, let me just go back and just state, uh, winnable game today at Bank America Stadium. You had an undefeated team, and I know a lot of folks. In fact, my brother-in-law was sitting there saying, he stayed till the end, because I know he been leaving, going home, and finished watching the game. But he stayed the whole game today, and they kept it. The Panthers kept it interesting all the way up to the end. They 23-yard field goal, 3 seconds left after a smattering of just Oh, you name every penalty that the Texans could commit to try to keep the inevitable from happening. The Texans did it, including getting a player kicked out in the game for unsportsmanlike conduct because he had committed the same offense back to back. I don't know if the league gonna send him a fine letter or not, but I hope the team pays it because he was doing it at the behest of the team, and I have no doubt about that. You know, and it make you do all you can within the rules, and they bent the rules mm, to some degree. But anyway, as uh, as I get ready to call this a wrap, this is your man Adolphus A.D. Moore from the Bank American Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina, where the Houston Texans fall to a winless 0-6, now 1 and let me see. Oh yeah, 0-6, 0-6, 0-7. Now they got one victory, and so the Carolina Panthers now they can have euphoria today. They can go celebrate this. I was talking to a couple of the personnel here, and I was just sitting there wondering, well, is it going to be trick or treat? So apparently they going to get the treat, and the Texans were the trick, and that's the way we go. So that's it. Man, this is your man Adolphus A.D. Moore signing off from Bank America Stadium. I'm out, and we are gone. See you back in Houston, folks.